Ever had a dream so vivid, so real, you could swear you lived it twice? The kind that leaves you waking up not sure where the dream ends and the day begins. In this episode of Tales of the Beard, we step into a world where dreams don't just fade away with the morning light. They echo louder and clear until they take over. Welcome to Dreams in Stereo. In this episode, the line between reality and dreamland is blurred, and every tune might just be your last lullaby. So sit back, if you can, close your eyes, if you dare, and listen closely, because the deeper you go into the dream, the harder it's going to be to wake up. Dr. Elena Reyes had always been obsessed with the mysteries of the mind. For years, her research into neuroscience had focused on understanding the sleeping brain, what it did, where it went, and most importantly, why. Her colleagues had scoffed when she first proposed that dreams were more than mere electrical impulses, more than subconscious sorting through daily experiences. To Elena, dreams were untapped narratives, entire worlds existing just beyond the veil of consciousness. And now, after years of work, she believed she had found the key to unlocking them. Elena sat in her lab at the Institute of Neural Research, staring at the device she had created. It was small, sleek, and no larger than a pair of over-the-ear headphones. The Somnus, as she called it, had one function: to record and replay dreams. It worked by detecting and interpreting the brain's neural oscillations during REM sleep, translating them into auditory and visual stimuli that could be replayed in waking life. That morning, Elena connected the Somnus to her computer and hit play. Her own voice crackled through the speaker, soft and muffled at first, but growing more and more clear. I'm standing in a field. The grass is tall, brushing against my knees. I can hear wind chimes, but there's no wind. It's warm, but there's a strange chill in the air. I see a figure in the distance, waving. Elena shivered. She remembered the dream vividly. She had it last night. She'd seen the figure, felt compelled to walk toward it, but had woken up before she could get close enough to see its face. She played the recording again, enthralled by the idea of revisiting her own subconscious. She tweaked the device, altering the settings, prepared to listen again when her assistant Mark walked in. "Are you still fiddling with that thing?" he asked, his curly hair tousled from sleep. "It's like 6 a.m, Elena." "I'm close," she said, not taking her eyes off the screen. "Closer than ever. The playback is getting clear. The machine is learning to interpret dreams more accurately." Mark raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying you'll be able to turn dreams into podcasts soon?" Elaine smiled. "Why not? Everyone loves a good story. Why not tell the stories our minds make up every single night?" Mark shrugged, a skeptical grin on his face. "I mean, sure, if you think people want to hear about showing up naked to their high school reunion or their teeth falling out." Elena laughed. "Maybe, but imagine the possibilities. Shared dreams, understanding the collective subconscious, identifying universal fears and desires." "And what about nightmares?" Mark interrupted, his expression much more serious. Some dreams aren't meant to be shared." Elena paused. She had considered that, of course, but her curiosity outweighed her concerns. "We'll see, Mark. We'll see." Within weeks, Elena's invention began to attract attention. She presented her research at a major neuroscience conference, demonstrating the Somnus's ability to record dreams and play them back with startling clarity. To many in the audience, it was like a live theater performance, a show straight from the mind. The response was electric. Scientists, psychologists, and entrepreneurs swarmed Elena after her presentation, eager to learn more about the technology. Several tech companies expressed interest in funding her work, seeing its potential for everything from entertainment to therapy. Elena decided to release the device to a select group of beta testers, people who are willing to share their dreams publicly. The Dreamwave podcast was launched shortly thereafter with dreams submitted by these early users. Listeners could tune in to hear not only the dreams of strangers, but dreams that range from the mundane to the fantastical, dreams filled with lost loves, impossible adventures, and surreal encounters. The podcast, it went viral almost overnight. The world was fascinated by the window into the collective unconscious that Somnus provided. People began to discuss their favorite dreams as if they were episodes of a popular TV show. Hey, did you hear about that one man who met his childhood self on a train? Or hey, did you catch the dream where a woman found a hidden city under the ocean? As the popularity of Dreamwave grew, more and more people, they wanted to participate. The Somnus was mass-produced and sold in stores. Soon, millions of people around the world were recording and sharing their dreams. But then, the nightmares begin. At first, it was subtle. A few users reported strange, unsettling dreams that seemed unusually vivid, almost hyper-real. The first shared nightmare was submitted by a man in London. He described walking down a long, dark corridor, his footsteps echoing off cold stone walls. He heard a faint whispering, like voices speaking just out of reach. As he walked further, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. He turned a corner and saw at the end of the door a hallway. The door was slightly open, and beyond was nothing but darkness. I knew I shouldn't open it, the man's recorded voice said, but I couldn't help myself. I felt compelled. When I pushed the door open, I woke up. The next week, another user submitted a nearly identical dream. A woman in Tokyo described the same dark corridor, the same door, the same feeling of compulsion. Then a teenager in New York reported a very similar experience. Elena was intrigued. It could be a coincidence, she told Mark, who was helping her manage the influx of dream submissions. But it's strange, the details, they're so specific. Mark frowned. Yeah, and it's spreading. We're getting dozens of submissions with similar dreams now. People are even talking about it on social media. #DoorDream is actually trending. Elena felt a chill. We should investigate. Maybe it's some kind of shared psychological phenomena. They began to study the recordings, looking for patterns or clues that might explain the reoccurrence of the nightmare. But the more they listened, the more disturbing it became. The whispers, once faint and could barely be heard, seemed to grow louder with each dream. And some of the voices, Elena realized, were speaking in languages that dreamers possibly could. They just couldn't know. It's like the dreams are evolving, Mark said one day, his face pale. Or worse, spreading like a virus. Elena dove deeper into her research, reviewing the neurological data collected by the Somnus during the dreams. She noticed the brain activity of those experiencing the nightmare was unusually high, far more active than a normal REM sleep. It was as if their minds were on a high alert, almost as if they were awake. She called a meeting with her colleagues, including Dr. Kamal Patel, a sleep specialist, and Dr. Aisha Williams, a psychologist who studied collective consciousness. What do you make of this? Elena asked, showing them the data. Dr. Patel furrowed his brow. The level of brain activity is more consistent with someone having a panic attack than someone who's actually sleeping. It's like their minds are under siege. Dr. Williams nodded thoughtfully. It's not unheard of for people to experience similar dreams, especially in times of collective stress. But the consistency here is very unusual. The same dream with such precise details across such a wide range of people? Could it be some sort of mass suggestion, Mark asked? People hearing about the dream and then subconsciously incorporating it into their own? It's possible, Dr. Williams said, but it doesn't explain why it started in the first place. What triggered the original dream? Why is it spreading like this? Elena stared at the screen, her mind racing. We need to find the origin, she said. If we can track down the first person who had the nightmare, maybe we can figure out what's causing it. Elena and Mark spent days combing through data, searching for the earliest occurrence of the nightmare. They finally find it. A dream recorded 3 weeks earlier by a woman named Claire Dunbar, a graphic designer from Chicago. Elena reached out to Claire, who was eager and actually agreed to meet. They sat in a small cafe, and Claire, a thin woman with tired eyes, looked anxious as she sipped her coffee. I've heard of the other dreams, she said. I can't believe so many people are experiencing the same thing. Elena nodded, Can you tell me about your dream, Claire? How did it start? Claire hesitated, then began to speak. It was the first night I used the Somnus. I'd just gotten it, and I was curious to see what it could do. I put it on before bed, and almost immediately, I found myself in that corridor. The one everyone's talking about. It felt so real, like I was actually there. And the whispers, they were so close, like they were speaking right into my ear. I felt afraid, but I couldn't stop walking toward the door. What happened when you opened the door? Elena asked gently. Claire shuddered. I don't remember. I woke up just as I was about to open it, but ever since then, I've been having trouble sleeping. I keep hearing the whispers, even when I'm awake. Mark glanced at Elena, a look of concern in his eyes. Do you remember anything unusual before that night? Anything that might have triggered that dream? Claire thought for a moment. She shook her head no. Nothing, but there's something else. I've been having headaches, really bad ones, and sometimes I think I hear the whispers through my headphones when I'm listening to music or even a podcast. It's like they're still with me. Elena's heart is pounding. We need to run some tests, she said. If you're willing, I'd like to scan your brain while you're sleeping, see if we can identify what's causing this. Claire agrees, and that night, Elena hooked her up to an array of monitors and sensors in her lab. As Claire drifted to sleep, Elena watched the brainwave monitor, holding her breath. Within minutes, Claire's brain activity spiked dramatically. The neural oscillations were chaotic. They were frantic. Elena could almost feel the fear radiating from the screen. She saw Claire's eyes twitching rapidly beneath her eyelids and heard her mumble something unintelligible. Then suddenly, Claire's body convulsed. Her eyes flew open and she screamed, a long, piercing wail that echoed through the lab. Elena rushed to her side, shaking her gently. Claire, wake up. Claire gasped, her eyes wide with terror. I saw it, she whispered. I saw what was behind the door. Elena's heart raced. What did you see, Claire? Claire was trembling, her skin pale and slick with sweat. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was like a shadow, but alive. It had no face, but I felt like it was looking right into me. And the whispers, they were coming from it. All of them, speaking at once like 1,000 voices in my head. Mark, who had been monitoring the equipment, looked alarmed. Elena, look at this. Elena turns to the monitor. The brain scan showed an unusual pattern, a massive surge of electrical activity in Claire's temporal lobe, the area of the brain associated with memory and emotion. This isn't normal, Elena muttered. It's like something is triggering a fight or flight response, but there's no external threat. It's all in her mind. Claire's voice was hoarse with a whisper. It's not just in my mind. It's out there. I think it wants to come through. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Come through? From where? I don't know, Claire said, her eyes wide with fear, but I think it's using the dreams. The more people dream about it, I think the stronger it gets. Mark looked at Elaine. This is insane. Are you suggesting that this entity or whatever it is using the Somnus to spread itself through people's dreams? Elena didn't answer immediately. She stared at the brain scan, her mind racing. I don't know, Mark, but we need to figure it out. If this thing is real, if it's somehow using our technology to infect people's minds, we have to stop it. Elena and Mark decided to stop further distribution of the Somnus devices until they could figure out what is happening. They sent out an alert to all users advising them to cease using the devices immediately and to report any strange experiences. But the nightmare continued to spread. News outlets pick up the story, and soon the world was abuzz with talk of the shared nightmare. People began to panic, afraid to sleep, afraid of what they might see behind the door of the dark corridor. Elena felt the weight of the responsibility pressing down on her. She had unleashed something into the world, something she didn't understand, and now was threatening to consume everyone. Desperate, she reached out to experts in various fields, psychologists, physicists, anyone at all who might have an insight into what could possibly be happening. She even consulted ancient texts, searching for references to shared dreams or entities that existed between worlds. One night, as she was poring over a stack of old books, she found a passage in centuries-old manuscript that caught her eye. It spoke of a shadow walker, an entity that existed in the space between dreams and reality, feeding on fear and gaining power from the minds of the living. Elena's blood runs cold. Was this what we're dealing with? An ancient entity that found a new way to manifest through technology. The technology that she created? She decided to conduct a final experiment. The entity was using the Somnus to spread. She would use it to trap it. She set up the device and prepared to enter the dream herself. She would find the door, confront whatever it was. Mark tried to stop her. He said, "This is insane, Elena. You have no idea what you're dealing with." "I have to try," Elena insisted. "If I can confront it in the dream, maybe I can break its hold on the others." With a deep breath, she lay down, the Somnus resting over her ears. She closes her eyes. Elena felt herself drifting, falling into the familiar depths of sleep. She felt the cold breeze against her skin, heard the faint whispers of wind chimes, and then she was there. The corridor was long, dark, and endless, just as others had described. Her footsteps echo on the cold stone floor. The whispers, they grow louder, more insistent as she moved forward. She felt a pull, a compulsion to reach out to the end of the hall. There was a door. That is what she's reaching out for. She could see it now, just a few steps away, the dark wood gleaming in the dim light. She hesitated, fear gripping just right through her heart. But she forced herself to move forward, to place her hand on the cold metal handle. As she pushed the door open, a wave of darkness rushed over her. She felt herself being pulled as if that very air was sucking her in. And then she saw the shadow, the entity, moving toward her with a terrible, malevolent presence. It had no face, no form, just a dark, shifting mass. But she felt its eyes on her, its whispering voices filling her mind. "Who are you?" She shouted, very loud, with her voice echoing in the void. "What do you want?" The entity didn't answer with words, but she felt its intent, its hunger. It was feeding on fear, growing stronger with each nightmare it spread. Elena steeled herself. "You can't have them," she shouted. "I won't let you." She focused her mind, imagining a wall between her and the entity, a barrier that would keep it from crossing into reality. She felt a surge of energy, of force pushing back against the dark presence. The entity recoiled, its whispers growing frantic and angry. For a moment, it seemed to waver, to weaken. Elena pushed harder, pouring everything she had, mentally, her will, into this barrier. And then, with a final, furious scream, the entity vanishes. Elena awoke from a start, gasping for breath. She was back in her lab, Mark by her side, his face pale with worry. Elena, you okay?" he asked. She nodded, her heart racing. I think I did it. I think I pushed it back." Over the next few days, reports of the nightmare begin to decline. The whispers stop, and people start sleeping soundly again. Elena hoped they had managed to trap the entity, to send it back to whatever dark place it had come from. The Somnus devices were recalled, and Elena decided to suspend her research indefinitely. She knew now that some things were just best left unexplored, some doors best left unopened. But she also knew that they had only seen the tip of the iceberg. The mind was vast, uncharted territory, filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination, and she had only begun to understand its mysteries. As she looked out over the city, she couldn't help but wonder, had she truly closed the door, or had she merely delayed the inevitable? For now, at least, the world slept in peace, but Elena knew that somewhere, in the shadows of the mind, something still whispered and waited. The end. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed Dreams in Stereo. This is another Tales of the Beard, and we'll be back next week. Can't thank you enough. If you have any suggestions, any stories, or you know anybody that wants to write a story, please let us know. Hit up the Beard Laws studio or Matt at beardlaws.com. Again, can't thank you enough. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody.